You guys do understand, like, when they have this one they show me a lot, and it has this lady, I think she's from Australia. Lefties losing it, right? And then she sits and she talks about how crazy these people are and how intelligent she is. Okay, money's not real, and people that fight over it are clinically insane. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Here to settle the score. Boo doo 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 doo. Okay, sorry. I had to. Well, they had a thing about Cardi B. I was like, well, what's going on with Cardi B? Aloysius, Santa Maria, Maria. I don't know. Her name is hard to say, right? I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being funny. If she don't like being funny, it's like you gonna yell at me like you did the hotel staff and shit. You're a meanie. Okay. Some people are sensitive, but I think a lot of that comes from tribalism and intense forms of abuse. So you have to like tread softly. Come softly, darling. And you can say something wrong, like with Amy, like with me. Shit. When I made jokes, she would get back at me, but it would be like, I say something that like, oh, that was kind of goofy but cute, and you're adorable. I'm gonna fuck the mailman because of this. Oh, son of a bitch. Any excuse, huh? Is he cute? All right, well, I want to have sex with him too. I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying is like, well, I'm a lefty, I'm losing it. But it's like I'm transgendering the moon or something. I don't, oh my gosh. Linguistics is a real issue. People use language, okay, to manipulate other people. And my mom told me that when I was a kid. She said, Earl, you got to be very careful about what human beings do. Just about everything they do, spoken, written, whatever, is a form of indoctrination, especially the music, and it's meant to use the emotions to manipulate you. My mom was raised by a sergeant major that killed more people for the U.S. government than most people ever should have or could have or would have, because he lied to join when he was 15 during the Pancho Villa campaign, was denied marriage to a Mexican girl, and that made him kill lots of Mexicans. He liked Pancho Villa, but he didn't like the man that wouldn't let him marry the little Catholic Mexican girl, so, I wouldn't have had my mother if that had happened, so, I have to be selfish on that one. I'm just kidding. German immigrant. I don't know how the sire thing works. He sired my mother, and then my mother met a man that was devoted to the ways of Christ, and so I had the genetics of the devoted to Christ through the Holy Grail, and I think that's more how it works, like in Ivanhoe. Has to be, I guess she has to choose, because they tried arranging a marriage to replicate a genetic sequence of Herschel Steinschneider with Steve Stack, and it didn't work. And it was an arranged marriage through scientific manipulation. And I'm told something happened in communication in a town called Roswell, and then they were told, leave it alone and let it take its course. And then mom met dad in a town called Grants, New Mexico, and then the rest is history. They had Poncha and Glendale, which says that they had girls before boys, and I'm the only boy of the two. It says so in the Book of Revelation. It's hard for people that are not historians to understand what's being said in the Book of Revelation. It doesn't say that, I know. Okay. Yeah, like people that are shitty about the polygamy with Joe Smith and guys. He was Guys, Joseph Smith was trying to live in a King David churchly type community where women and children were not considered property by the male. Do you remember the days of slavery? Do you remember what Marcus Garvey said? People have had them. So it attracted women by the hordes to want to get away from their cousin and their brother that were trying to have sex with them all the time. Because they wanted to be, I choose you, Aladdin, but I want to marry the guy down the street. I don't want to have sex with my brother. I don't like my brother. That's okay. Nobody likes your brother. The only way he stays alive is by having sex with his sisters or his cousins. And he makes them have sex with them. Ooh, how encloisterment of you, right? And this has happened for hundreds of thousands of years, guys. Okay. She doesn't want to have sex with you, Chucho. Nardo's kind of a pompous ass. She likes the Polish guy named Anton. Yeah. Who could blame her? If I was my daughter, I'd choose Othello too. Do you see what I'm saying? It's all good, right? And so a woman should be able to choose who she wants to have children with. It should not be arranged by people that think they know better. Now, I met some people from Bangladesh that were part of arranged marriage, but the arrangement was one enchanted evening. You may find your Philip and Cinderella, and arranging the conditions. And they just knew over time that, mom, it's the Shanji family from the, oh yes it is, okay, I had a prayer and I had a vision, and and it's like that kind of stuff. It's not more of an arrangement. It has nothing to do with money, and it just has to, where, like, Muhammad told me when I was having a prayer to the spirit of my mom's family, and there was a star over Glendale, and Amy and Natalie are holes. And I was like, where do I find the spirit that's a lot like, I was talking to the spirit that's a lot like from my mother's line. And Amy always told me that, Val told me that. Amy's like mom. Yeah, and in all the ways that are like, what a pain in the ass. But in the ways where like, well, do you listen and understand me? But even then, no, when mom, I would explain genetics and moleculars and the tiger's fang and the drums of Ek and talons of time to my mom. And she said, no, it's too complex. I'm not smart enough to get it. It's like, no, mom, it's not tangible. So that's really, well, here's why. And I'd explain to her, it's like, it's an interesting story. It's a Cinderella story about a guy pretending to be Babe Ruth in your closet, and you go pickle the beast, and But I was just like, no, a lot of things were just not tangible. Then you look at it and say, well, some of these things are tangible. I guess in certain kind of relative constructs, yes, but then again, no. If I was a man who sold potions in a traveling show. But anyway, what I really mean is these are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. But you're sitting there, and you're dealing with these people in this big emotional clusterfuck. And it's hard to deal with. The first one today was connected to a little girl from Arizona State University. I really like her, and I contend that I do. She's very distracted, but she remains distracted to remain focused on what's important to her and what she likes. And I dig that, more than the guy having to redo his character from Training Day to sell lowrider insurance. Yeah, I like her. She's cool. And I like the Jalen Lewis kid, too. I like a lot of the kids on that. Dad watches it because Doppler Dave, and I like Doppler Dave, too. But the rest of the kids, they kind of like attracts like, and I like them. And the three kids from ASU are fun. And I liked Marsha. I gave the little girl who went to Omaha, I liked her. It's like, oh, she left. Oh, darn, I liked her. She was fun. She was so fun. She's going to freeze her tail off in Omaha. What's he going to Omaha for? Advancement, in the career field kind of thing, because we're still stuck in that mess, right? And so, but it's like, yeah, no, but you like a lot. I like Jerry. You like a lot of the kids on the thing. I liked Paul Cicala, and, and him having to leave, but he left for the right reasons. He left to spend time with his father because there was things that were hard on his father, and he didn't want to be a bystander or whatever. He wanted to go be there, and time is a precious gift, and so that's what Paul went to do. And I was like, well, good for Paul. He's a good kid, right? Tucson, yeah, I have friends and family in Tucson. So, but spent 9 months in Tucson, Marshall Elementary, yeah. So. And I can't remember what the name of the junior high was where Poncho went to school. I remember Val went to Santa Rita. And I screw up on a lot of things with that. I screw up Rincon and Santa Rita, and Santa Rita's the Eagles, right? Rincon is the Rangers, purple and gold. Santa Rita's the Eagles, and they're green and gold. Palo Verde, I forgot is Palo Verde the Titans? And they're like black and orange. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Tucson's the Badgers, and they're crimson and white, right? I'm pretty sure. This was a long time ago. I'm an old man. Cut me a break. Right? So, shit. What other Choya? Is that where Harvey Thompson went to school? Is it Choya? I can't remember Choya's nickname though. There's Palo Verde, Choya. There wasn't as many high schools now as there was back then. There's Choya. Trying to remember where Sean Elliott went to school too. Did he go to Choya? I can't remember where Harvey Thompson went to school too. It's a tough one. Greg Cook went to Pima, but I forgot which high school he went to, but I think he was from Tucson also. But he went to Pima Community College, where we also went to a game because Miss Brusso knew the coach there, and we met some of the kids. And then I asked him, I said, not a lot of guys from the junior college make it to the NBA. He said, no, Bob McAdoo, you're Dennis Johnson. I said, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, well, you go, dude. But making it to the NBA, nah. You're just being a bigger circus gimmick that has no time, and it completely destroys your family, like being a rap star, a pop star, a rock star, or it's not worth it. No, man. Time, the gift of grace, the faithless steal. And if you want to be recognized by the people that consume our time as being great, you're trapped you're the prince of thieves, and your dad is trapped in their world. And it's the guy who's the friend of Indiana Jones being a cartoon voice for the guy who plays Aladdin, but Robin Williams is back as the genie. And in the second movie, the guy who does Max Headroom is the genie, right? Is that the guy who's the genie's voice in the second movie? I can't remember. It's been a long time. Patrick had all of them, and the kids watched them all numerous amounts of times. Got the Midas touch. Everything I touch turns to gold. That's nutsy. It is. It's nutsy and trigger and okay. But Earl, a lot of crazy people in the world. Yes, there is. And but it comes from violent sex cult activity, and even the nerds hate to admit it, but it's true. It comes from that too. That's all byproducts of it. Like I was going to check the mail. Connection to because I talked to Corey and his son about what's happening in China and how it's affecting what's happening here, with people trying to do what they perceive as decreased surplus populations through population quote management, through genocide operations that people accept as reality. And it's really sad, and we really got to focus on the Lord's Prayer so this doesn't affect our kids. They're too beautiful. He'll be able to play football and not have to do it for money, but do it for exercise and fun. I like football too. And I told the kid, I was the fastest human being on the planet. He looked at me like, you're crazy. I was like, no. And I didn't tell him, no, this is a military surveillance corridor, and I've been studied and by the military and surveillance my whole life. I can't lie to you about anything. I have to tell you the absolute truth to the best of my ability. Or they all sit there and go, he's lying. He's just trying to fit in with our group because we're the best. At what? Being complete fucking murdering dickheads with make-believe money and lots of science projects that suck? I wanted to fit in because I didn't want to be abused. And I wanted them not to assimilate, but to submit to faith and the glory of grace because it's the right thing to do, because I'm the gracious good shepherd and they're not. But it didn't happen. So what happened? So they showed me that ass, and I still kick it to this day. I don't know how to help Cardi B. I don't know if Cardi B knows who I be. Because people can pray and, get Jesus, and it'll come to me, and it'll manifest itself on social media in a little kind of way. But it's neat. It's nice to see when I meet, I see kids and I watch them and I connect to them in prayer on the thing that, I was right to like that person. That person is nice. I like them, and that happens a lot, and it happens more frequently. It's the Wi-Fi and shit just fucks it up. Okay, because most of you, I'd rather not know who you are, because I love privacy and I love holy covenants, and I don't like extortion, exploitation, and having to give our time away to be a public figure for marketing, to hold food hostage and housing hostage and give people drugs to survive the rape of the mental insanity and stuff. So most people, I'd rather not know who they are, What was the best day of your life, Dad? The day I met your mother. You're supposed to say my birthday, and if I had not met your mother, right? Remember the little couple in Sierra Vista at Amy's favorite little restaurant there? Where she got her Mongolian barbecue? We had the beef and broccoli and sweet and pungent chicken. And stuff. It's sour and pungent. It's called. Oh, okay. But yeah, I was sitting there and I was walking back and forth to the thing. And there's a man named Mao Zedong, which is a lot like the people that are in manipulation now. And then there was a man named Sun Yat-sen, who's the line of Confucius. No, I'm not led to believe he's the line of Confucius. Okay. And there's line is Confucius, and there's a man. They say the way of Tao. His name was Tao, and Tao tried to stop the crystallization of the truthful, faithful source of communication of the line of Confucius. Okay. And he tried to, because they tried to crystallize it and say, Confucius say, and then you no debate, no argue, this is that. And he was like, no, if the river's flowing that way, you follow the river. You don't sit there and make the river conform to bend to your will. I'm not saying when nature is doing things right and you're doing things wrong, do not make nature bend to your will. That's what Confucius said. And so if you keep taking Confucius and turning him into an instrument to bend people to your will, you're not being like Confucius. And that's why Tao, it's beautiful. It's really neat. It's a lot like I am the way, the truth, and the life, and you can't write down on a piece of paper that I am God and make it so, because idiots accept that I am God because they're idiots, right? So it's the same thing, right? And so because truth is truth and lie is lie and life is eternal and grace is infinite. Okay, so you're gonna get a different perception of the reflection of eternal truth from Confucius as you are from Christ, but it's going to be based off the same truth, because life is eternal and grace is infinite, and they're both given life by the infinite essence of eternal existence through holy covenants. Yahweh. Want a fortune cookie? Okay, Earl. That'll be 99 cents, right, Earl? It's fun. I know. But so, but as I was walking the thing, and Mao Zedong took all the stuff from Sun Yat-sen and told him, he monologued on him, said, I'm going to take all this and use this to do this. He goes, yeah, and it will manipulate people temporarily, and you'll feel satisfied temporarily, okay? But the spirit that provides life to your body will never be satisfied and never be content and never be respectful and empathetic and or happy. You're a bitch. You're never happy. Bitches ain't never happy. Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they play. And they are playing. That's saying they don't really love you. They're just saying that because they want to win. Right? And most people, Cardi B's so emotional, she never been really loved a day in her life. Jenny Lenny's the same way. My wife's, they were loved. But they had a psychotic break and they just had to destroy it, because if you don't, you're going to have to assimilate or they'll take you away. We can have a wonderful life if you just assimilate. Do as you're told. With Steffi, it was different. Steffi was abused, and Stephanie wanted me to kill everybody that looked at her cross-eyed. She's kind of a little like Cardi B. No, I ain't going to kill them because, okay. Why should I kill them? That bitch looked at me cross-eyed, and I don't like her. Okay, but if I kill them, I don't get to enjoy my kids from prison. You can't enjoy kids from prison. It sucks, right? So I don't, Steffi, I don't want to kill them because she looked at you cross-eyed. And do you see why me and Patrick get along a little bit better, and I might appreciate hanging out with Patrick just a tad bit more than you? These are the kind of conversations me and Steffi used to have. Right? And then she'd say what a condescending, arrogant prick, and she wanted me to validate her feelings because her feelings were real. It's like, yeah, they're real, all right, but I have no intention on validating any of them the way you want me to. Hell no. I'm going to de-escalate the situation, then I'm going to get that bitch that's looking at you cross-eyed away from you, and her, you away from her, and her away from you, and then I'm going to settle you down and say, Steffi, save room for my love. Baby, come back. Any kind of fool could see. And it wouldn't. She'd go into PTSD and then she'd black out. She'd try to physically kill you. And she probably doesn't even remember. Because she would just snap. And you're like, fuck. And that's really hard to be married to. Okay. With Amy, when Amy would go into PTSD and snap, it was because you made her feel stupid. And when people made her feel stupid, she made them feel even more stupid. So she was always screwing around on me. Because she'd say things, and I'd say that to Steffi, and I'd also say that to, like, when Steffi told me, they're racist here, and I'm going to quit, and I'm going to get 2 part-time jobs for minimum wage, and then I'll make this same amount of money. I was like, no, you're going to be working 40 hours a week for minimum wage, which is 5 something an hour, and you're making $10 an hour. So instead of being emotional, look for a new job, and have the new job lined up and ready to go before you quit this one. You're just going to have to tough it out until you can find something that will keep you in a similar, keep you where you can survive and, And she's like, and I was like, and don't tell anybody that you said this. Don't, please don't repeat this to anybody. You already did. Damn. Why didn't they tell you? Because she get mad at them. Okay, I don't care if you get mad at me. You're Patrick's mom. Okay. Till he's 18, we got to work this out, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what I used to do. Is like, she's we're not having sex together. You make me feel like shit every time we have sex because I'm a man and I ejaculate and you didn't have an orgasm because I'm a guy, and I get it. And I'm not sorry that I'm a guy because I really like having sex with pretty women like you, but I like them to have like 5 orgasms like your cousin had. But your cousin wants me to make lots of money, and I don't want to make lots of money. I would have enjoyed 5 orgasms for the rest of my life if I was Tyler Perry, but I'm not fucking Tyler Perry, and I don't want to be. Okay, so you understand? Okay, thank you. The thing about it is I would have been successful economically if me and Law had stayed together, but we weren't meant to. The military, the Mormon church, they weren't having that. And I couldn't be in any spot of influence until I did things the way they wanted them done. And and they're both wrong. Okay, the liberals and the conservatives are both wrong. Money is an invented by evil people to manipulate people to feel powerful. Technology is an invention to maintain that illusion of power through selfishness. And it's destructive to all of us, and it affects how we all think. And what they did to the people in China, oh my God, it's painful. Okay? Most of these people have no siblings. And as people are dying off from vaccinations through the COVID and all that stuff, and they're just all mass dying off, it affects the genetics of the whole family. So whole families of 3 people are dying off the face of the planet, and other people, because they're so trained at school to do this and do your career and stuff like that, they're not even cognizant of it, not even aware of it. Because they're encouraged to focus on their next, you go get your job, this is your new family, that's the way they do it. There's no intrinsic value, no meaningful relationships, just an ant in the army of the great queen kings that they invented Sun Yat-sen into after they murdered Sun Yat-sen, as Sun Yat-sen was trying to be a father like Christ and like Muhammad and like Abraham, like Moses, Daniel and Joseph. Confucius. The reason why he gravitated to Christianity, because there was still the humanity in the reflection of the family, and the crystallization of Confucius and the manipulation of the coldness of what they perceived as Tao for the great father and mother to manipulate them all. The wearer of the ring, the one that controls them all. That's China. It's horrible. Mao Zedong was a horrible person. Chiang Kai-shek was an emotional, murdering pile of shit. That's how Mao Zedong was able to take the position of leadership and authority, because he used the perception, like Henry Tudor did with Thomas Becket, of, I tried to save Sun Yat-sen, but Kai-shek was such an evil fucking bastard. And then used the murder of Sun Yat-sen and the beauty of Sun Yat-sen to pass off the propaganda of being the great, kind, bitchy father who has a camera up everybody's ass and can manipulate everybody with science projects and bitchiness. Yeah, Mao Zedong, horrible person. The people that are in, quote, leadership in China, they are not the descendants of Sun Yat-sen. Now, they've tried, most of these people that have been murdered off and killed off, you know, these aren't people with inefficient immune systems that can't survive COVID and all that. They're being poisoned and murdered, just like they did Sun Yat-sen. They have a different operating program. They have a different status quo to the operating program because of their linguistics. Their linguistics is more efficient at mass murder to maintain status quo through mass murder than the Americans. The Americans want the same kind of system. That's probably why they're bombarding all the data centers in Iran. The Iranians were easily manipulated because of their intense hate for the Israelis and the Americans. It didn't take much to get them. Don't take much to make me happy. Just strap me a C4 and point me at some Israelis and some United Staters. Yeah, and we Persians. Yeah, Prince of Persia, my ass. You act like a bitch. Yeah, anybody who thinks with their dick acts like a bitch. Uh-huh. But you got a nice jaw. You got big dark eyes and you got a square nose and you're sexy. Yeah. Bitch better have my money. We know, Pimp Daddy Nash, we know. Shut up, rabbit. I know how gorgeous I am. Well, I see myself through other people's eyes eternally, and they really help. So the prayer connections help, you know. And so, you know, like I said, I like a lot of the kids on the News Channel 7 Stuck in Hell. They have good intentions, and they have some good hearts and stuff. The other news stations, I've watched them. They're, you know, it's a little different. It's a little bit more like, you know, that seems more like the news from Seattle or some other place, you know, some other town. But in the news station at 7, it's that's El Paso, you know. There's one or two representatives of El Paso in the other ones, but in the News Channel 7, like almost all of them are like, yeah, I know him, man. I went to school with Jerry. Yeah, he's funny. He was in the band. So was Adrian. Yeah, he's a good drummer. Yeah. It's like Lauren Blythe. She's like one of us. It's like, you're from there, back east? You're like one of us, man. You sure? Like everybody used to say to me. No, Dad, you're one of us. You're not them. No, I am a gringo. I'm Parsons. I'm a white person. My mom's redheaded, blue-eyed, and yes, I know. I am always the honorary Chicano, Lebanese, Arab, Persian, Farsi, you know, official black Negro because you're the fastest, best jumper. And made a lot of black guys really mad. Sent me to the emergency room. Yeah, my black girlfriend, whose uncle was a pro basketball player, says, you don't go back there. And she was so smart. She's a smart, she's an intelligent young woman, and she's just, it's tribalism. It's brain activity through Stockholm Syndrome, through violent sex cult activities. She's a very intelligent woman. Okay, guys? I love you very much. We'll talk later. All right? Peace out.